Hi. This is all right. There we go. We are live inside Creative Space, and I am your host, Catherine Shapiro, welcoming a very special guest, Mr. Nick Maley. Mr. Nick, hi. It's a pleasure to have you. Our good friend is where do I start? Makeup artist, special effects master, creator of outstanding characters, author. You could just go anywhere. But we are most famous for creating one of the most iconic, best characters that I know of in the known universe, Yoda from Star Wars. So thank you so much, Mr. Nick, for coming and sharing your time with us. We really do appreciate it.
Well, it's no problem, Catherine. It's nice to be asked, and I'm happy to be here.
Anytime. And we always love to ask old friends back. This is your first time, but you've been a part of the filmmaking community for so many years in so many ways, it's hard to keep track.
Well, that's true, but that's beginning to make me feel old. On the 8th of March, which of course is now only 9 days away, it will be exactly 50 years since I joined the team that built Star Wars.
Wow. That is a long time, but it's a time where you've done so many different things and seen so many different things that it's great that you're still out there sharing your wisdom with people. I mean, and it keeps you young. One of the reasons that we're here is because we love to get people to talk about their new programs and the things they've been doing lately. So why don't we go ahead and start with that and see where we go?
Well, I think first, really, for those people who are watching, if they don't know me, they don't know what to expect. I started out as a kid with dyslexia and attention deficit, a kid from low-income housing where people were, my teacher told me that I was an idiot going to work in a factory, and that really galvanized me to prove that he was wrong. I understand where he was coming from at the time, because to him, I was just a kid with crazy ideas who thought that, I could achieve all kinds of pie in the sky romantic ideas that, your normal people would say, well, yeah, but you can't actually do that. But he persuaded me in that one moment to prove that he was wrong. And so I struggled for many years trying to edge my way towards where I was trying to go. And at the same time, trying to avoid a lot of the things that other people were taking for granted. I was lucky that my dad was an actor, so I knew it was possible to live a life that wasn't in normal. But I
normal.
also knew that the chances were 90%, actually probably 99%, that you would then be really poor and unemployed most of the time. So I was trying to find a way that would allow me to avoid the things that I didn't want to do and
Mhm.
take me in this other direction. By the time I was 17, I
Mhm.
was I was working as a well, actually, someone called my dad. They wanted a makeup artist to basically do a show at the Royal Albert Hall. Royal Albert Hall in London is a very prestigious hall. It's like saying Madison Square Gardens, really.
Oh, anywhere
Was
else, absolutely.
built by in Queen Victoria's time and named after her husband. And
Mhm.
so my dad was out. I answered the phone. I negotiated the job. I charged 3 times what my dad would have done.
Yeah, there
And
you
suddenly at 17, I was doing my first professional show at the Royal Albert Hall. And so I think that one of the things that is great about youth is that you don't know enough to know that you shouldn't be able to do what you just did.
go. And you're
As
fearless.
you're older, you see all the things that could possibly go wrong, and they actually restrict you from
Mhm.
saying, well, I'm going to make this work. And so I made that work. I wrote to the people who made movies and said, I'm 17. I've just done a show at the Royal Albert Hall. I must be a whiz kid. You should give me a U card.
So
So
there you go. You have to be audacious sometimes. You
mhm.
can't, I read on I think it might have been on one of one of your pages someplace that you can't be normal and stand out at the same time. It's absolutely impossible. So
Yeah,
why be normal?
that's something from my little book of big ideas, which is a motivational book. It's the second book that I wrote, and it really came out of different conversations that I have with people at different times, where now and again I would just say something that I hadn't really planned, and I thought to myself, "Yeah, that's a really good thought. I'll just write that down." And
Mhm.
when I had enough things that I'd written down, I just popped them all into a book, and lo and behold, there it was. But the actual thing that you're referring to says you can't live an extraordinary life by being normal.
Mhm.
Normal is what the vast majority of society is. So it's another word for average or
Mhm.
ordinary or standard. Once you understand that, you don't feel so uncomfortable about going this way when everybody else is going that way.
Going that way because you do get there faster sometimes.
It's not just a matter of getting there faster. The ultimate thing is that we are naturally insecure. If you
Mhm.
look at the little kid, what does the little kid first do? It hides behind mom and dad. That's its own insecurity coming out. As we get older, well, we get a little bolder. But the truth of the matter is that as you look around, if you see 100 people going this way, and you're planning on going the other way, you
Mhm.
instantly feel insecure, like, oh dear, I must be wrong. But
Well,
once you realize that all of those people are on their way to being average,
mhm.
and average people get killed in video games, as I like to point out to old kids.
Mhm.
Um, if you realize that, then you don't feel so bad about saying, well, you're going that way, but I'm going this way.
Absolutely, because you have to find your own path. And speaking of finding a path, I'm what we're going to do is make sure in one way or another that everybody gets their questions answered about book titles and websites and all that sort of stuff. What I do is I put together a little uh, end cap, I guess you'd call it, on my shows that give current contact information for everybody who I've talked to. So that way, all the audience, who's, by the way, really having a great time, I noticed, in the comment section can get in touch and do whatever it is that they need to find out about. Now, you've not only written the book you describe, you also started a brand new one. Tell me about the new one.
Well, it's a spin-off from that same conversation that I started. As a kid, I had all kinds of fancy ideas. When I was 5, I wrote a poem, so I thought I'd be a poet. I saw a movie about Vincent van Gogh, and I thought it would be great to be an artist if I didn't cut my ear off. I did a school play, so I thought I'd be an actor. My dad would read me Edgar Allan Poe. So I thought it'd be great to be a novelist. And ultimately, through the course of my life, I've done a whole series of different things. So yes, I started teaching at university when I was 19 in the drama department. I was teaching stage makeup, not drama, and then I moved on to making movies, then from movies into character into prosthetics, and prosthetics into sculpting and mold making and all the things that you need to produce prosthetics, which led me into being a pioneer in animatronics. And at the same time, I thought I'd be a better makeup artist if I was a better artist. So I started to persevere with art to find, ultimately, I lived for 10 years in the Caribbean, the first 10 years as an artist, which I can't tell you how easy that was. People think it's impossible, but it's only impossible if you talk yourself into that. So eventually I had to get to the point where I wrote that book. I've been a poet. That was my first book. I've been an artist. That's been in my first book too. I've done some performing in various movies and shows and other things. It's time for me to do that. I've been an author for non-fiction. It was time to lay down that book and fulfill that next desire. Yeah, so I'll tell you, though, how that came about, because along the way, I was also a script writer and second unit director. And a couple of producers came through our museum here and indicated that they had money for a show and they were looking for projects. And so my wife and I wrote 12 episodes of a show for Paramount Plus. But when the contracts came, they weren't what we discussed in the first place. I had said at the very beginning that my wife and I had written a movie back in the 80s, which was completely destroyed by the people who bought it and made it. And we always vowed that we wouldn't give up complete control again. So when the contracts came and they basically wanted us to sell out the rights to all those characters that we created, that's a bit like selling your children. We decided that we would turn it into a book. And so that's what we did. And the first one is called Fangs to Blood, but we're partway through writing the second one now.
Oh my goodness, that is quick. And I started it, and I can tell you it's absolutely amazing with some really wonderfully realized characters. I'm not going to say any more than, because I don't want to spoil anything, but I'll tell you it is a really different kind of story, and I am so impressed with it. And
I appreciate that. Our reviews have been very strong, but it's very hard to get. We have it online. Apple Books has it. Barnes and Noble has it. It's on about 8 or 9 different platforms. Not Amazon yet, but basically, it being on the platform doesn't help if it's just a green tree in a green forest.
right.
We're still working on what is called discoverability. where people can actually find it. It
Well,
needs
the
people to
channel has its own,
find it and write a review.
just so that everybody knows, the Creative Spirit channel does have its own library. And you can, with our wonderful our executive producer, get yourself into the library, and we will definitely spread the word and get it on out there. And I'm telling you that, me personally, it's one of the better books of the genre that I've ever read.
Thank you.
And you're welcome.
I'm that guy who always wants to write something or create something that no one's seen before. So even though this is intrinsically a vampire story,
Mhm.
we create a new background to where vampires come from, and then we introduce you to the Caribbean vampire, the Sukuyant, that no one has ever made a movie about. And to the best of my knowledge, I don't know that there's been certainly no books that I've read that have included them. And so
I'm aware.
the essence of this started with us saying, what if a classic European vampire produced a child with a Caribbean Sukuyant? And that creates a character with powers that normal vampires don't have.
Hmm. And it is an extraordinary story. And the thing that I thought was really interesting was you and your wife, Gloria, who's a great artist in her own right, worked together on it, which
Yeah,
is.
we do. Well, we've worked together for a lot of our lives. Gloria
Mhm.
was an actress. We met on a movie. Um, I wasn't supposed to be doing her makeup, but the guy who was doing it wanted to go to a party. Glenda Jackson was, he was working also on um, a movie with Glenda Jackson, and that was having an end of production party. He wanted to go to that. And so I said I would look after Gloria to finish the day's shooting. And one thing led to another, and we've been
Look, got
together
to each
now
other
for
for a long
47
time.
years.
Hmm. So you two both work together. Are your styles mesh really well? Do you have?
No,
Um,
I think you don't want someone who's exactly the same as you.
mhm.
One of the things that I think is great is that she fills in the the weaknesses that are in my way of working, and maybe I think of things in a largely original, if not wacky way. That maybe where she's more practical. But I'm very detailed, so
Mhm.
I'll go off once you send me in a direction. I will spend 2 days just researching the background to make sure the history is right,
I'm
and other things. We
yeah.
should say, we should explain that this story really starts in 1801 in Trinidad, so you need to know what the history of that island is.
Mhm.
It then spends time in Victorian London
Mhm.
in 1888, and even comes into New York City in the 2000s. So there's a lot of research that had to be done to put that together. Even simple things. I worked with someone one time who wanted me to write something for them. They were a band, and they had a storyline. And one of the things in the storyline, oh, this person is in 1725 or whenever it was, and in
Mhm.
the story says, and the hero sits down and plays her theme on the piano. I
Oh,
said, there weren't any pianos in
no,
1725.
17. And it's funny
Is
because,
your theme going to sound the same if you play it on a harpsichord? Yeah. So
well,
there's a
it,
lot of research that you have to do to make sure that you're really writing from a solid base. So I'm the guy who will go and do that, where
mhm,
that would really bore Gloria, I think. But Gloria also adds that feminine touch. I think
mhm.
which helps a lot. And we talk over the plot. I'll say, what if, and she'll come up with something, and we'll develop it together. And then usually I'll lay something out, and she'll read it and rework parts of it. Often I'll say, "Oh, please give me a description for, as the sun coming up in so and so. It's been a storm, whatever," and she'll write that, and we'll slide it together.
Right. I hear you. So it sounds like you're the planner, and the you acquire the knowledge, and she synthesizes a lot of things, and you guys put that together.
Yeah, she is the support that shores up my creativity, and she has a lot of creativity herself too.
And great shout out for all the husbands and the wives and the supporters who we would not be here without. And that's the truth. I tell people sometimes it takes me a full team of friends, neighbors, and family to get me going in the morning. And that's true of just about every creative you'd ever want to meet. Um, and we are so glad to have my good friend Nick Maley with us today live on Inside Creative Space. We usually appear Thursdays at 4 p.m. and we drop our new episodes then. But this was a very special occasion. I figured that we should make a really special time out of it. And I'm so glad that you did. I'm curious, what you really love to develop characters, and I'm curious, what do your characters say about you?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I think there's a piece of me in many characters. I think when you're a writer, one of the things I say in the preface is, I started trying to write a book when I was 23, but I had no experience to work into it. So really, there wouldn't have been the same strength of characters if I'd managed to pull that off at 23, which I didn't. So I think that we write about people that we know, but when you're talking about the emotional content of a situation, you can only write from your own experience. Really, I think that there's a dark side in most people, and life is about balancing out your good against your not so good. We're all tempted at some point or another. As a kid from low-income housing, there were times when I certainly considered to be like one of those street urchins that we have in our story, and maybe to, steal a few things if I had the opportunity, because I didn't think there was any way I was ever going to get out of that. So that has to be in my writing about the personality of those children. And yeah, we're all, I'm a guy, so I understand, the sexual drive that we have in some characters that are in that story too.
Right. And
And
there's
that's what I mean when I say I'm grateful for Gloria's vision of, a female point of view too.
because there has to be a point of view, a variety of points of views and experiences that make the characters that you're so good at so good on screen, and they resonate with
But I think that if you were able to get my characters together, or our characters, because Gloria's, key in the development of those as well. If you could get them together and ask them what they thought of their author, they would have to say that, their author was a control freak, because he insists that they do what he says they're going to do.
Well, we are about ready to take a break. And I was just saying that we would think more a little bit about what happens in your creative process. And I am one more time, Catherine Shapiro, This is my really good friend and sci-fi makeup artist, director, person extraordinaire, and we'll be back in just a little bit.
David Poyant Embroidery Art. Explore a world of embroidery. Make a specially crafted art piece part of your home or office decor. Be amazed and inspired by David's craftsmanship. David Poyant takes images and creates stunning pieces of art, all with a needle and thread. Expressions of passion and serenity. Thoughtfulness, reflection. A journey of inspired artistic expression awaits. Exceptional personal artistry where each piece tells a story. And a world where creativity is boundless. Contact David Poyant at davidpoyantembroideries.com.
We've all been there, searching for the perfect words and the perfect card in a generic greeting card aisle and getting frustrated. Well, stop searching and start connecting. Welcome to Miss Craft Princess Designs. Our greeting card monthly subscription includes a birthday, thank you, thinking of you, get well, and sympathy card. Our cards are made of high quality materials, including cardstock, beautiful pattern papers, stamps. Many of them are hand colored. Each one comes with an envelope, making it ready for gifting, and they will be treasured for a lifetime. You can get the subscription as a one-time or a monthly subscription. For further information, visit our website at www.misscraftprincessdesigns.com. And remember,
hey there, and welcome to the Battlefield Artisans Show on the Creative Spirit channel. I'm Jeffrey Beaver, Army veteran with 30 years of service, and I've been woodturning ever since retiring 12 years ago. I run Beaver's Workshop, where I craft some pretty amazing custom pieces. And this is my awesome co-host, medically retired Jeanette Jordan.
Thank you, Jeffrey. After 20 years in the Army, I'm now the proud owner of creation of the Heart Archcond, where I get to create custom resin clocks, coasters, and much more cool stuff.
Yeah, and when I say cool, I mean seriously awesome. But what really makes this show special is our shared love for crafting and the stories that come with it. So, we're throwing out an open invitation. If you're active duty or retired military, or even a family member of someone who is serving now, or served and you love to craft or create, we'd love to have you on the show. Come share your passion with us.
That's right, we're all about building a community of crafters, artisans, and creators who have a story to tell. So, hit that subscribe button and join us on this journey.
And please, subscribe to join the Battlefield Artisans family on the Creative Spirit channel.
Stars are shining, ooh yeah. Feel the beat, feel the glow.
guys. I hear I went a little early. I do apologize. But this is what we call live television, so I'm not worried too much if you're not. One more time, I'm Catherine Shapiro, Inside Creative Space, and this is my good patient friend, Nick Maley, science fiction creative person extraordinaire. And I am very curious about why, and I know you've kind of skated around this, why do you honestly believe that kids and art go together?
I think that kids generally, I mean, it depends partly on how you define art. Because there's those people go to art school and, if it's something that the average person understands, then it couldn't possibly be real art. But, the basic nature of kids, give kids a 1-year-old, give a 1-year-old some colors and they'll start splodging it on a piece of paper or on the wall or on something else. They have that sense of creative fun. Even though they've got no real knowledge of what they're doing or why they're doing it. So I think that there's on a satisfaction level, there is a great pleasure to be made from taking something which is just an idea and generating it into a physical material item that you can say, I did that. I took nothing and made something from it. I think that if you can teach that to a kid, you give them a gift that will last a lifetime.
Absolutely. And you can access this wonderful new book that Nick and Gloria have written at fangsaga.com. That's www.fang, just like it sounds,
Fangs, plural.
.com. So we are good. And it's also, thanks to my wonderful producer again, in the comments section. So we will definitely be able to make sure our viewers get hold of it.
Cool. Yeah. We have it on a lot of platforms, as I said, including Apple Books and Barnes and Noble, which are, very easy to find. But I think there's some libraries there too. That website, once you go to it, there's an immediate thing that says "Get Yours," and when you click on it, it'll show you the different options that you have to either buy the digital version from us direct or to buy it from other sources, and it'll give you the link straight to the book. So it's a quick, easy way of getting to it if you care enough to want to do that. As I say, we're very lucky that we've had some great reviews from it. But it is just one of those things that I do, we haven't really talked about the museum that I have here in the Caribbean.
Of course.
We have a museum that is the #1 most popular thing to do in this Caribbean island, and the beach is #2, largely because it's the only place in the world where someone can interact with a Star Wars personality. So I get a lot of Star Wars fans that come in and ask all their favorite questions, and I do a lot of dedications for people's sons and daughters and cousins and whatever else. But we also, I'm kind of excited at the moment. We are a non-profit. The museum is a non-profit, and a large part of it is to try and encourage youngsters to follow their dreams, be all they can be, and oldsters too, because you can get into a rut and just do what everybody else is doing. But as we said earlier on, if you do that, how can you expect your life to be any better than somebody else's? And just because someone decided that you were retiring doesn't actually mean you have to sit in a chair and wait to die, or it doesn't actually mean that you've got nothing to do other than fall asleep in front of the TV. You can be that creative person you
And I
always
didn't
want
pick up a pen or a
when you've got time. I stopped there to give you the chance
yeah.
to say whatever it was you were saying.
Mm-hmm. And I picked up a paintbrush.
Yeah, at the moment, I don't know whether it's my end or yours, but you seem to be breaking down. But here I am. I'm on my own now. I can handle this. I do broadcast through StreamYard, which is what this is coming through. I'd like to say something about StreamYard too, because these people have been very good to us and our nonprofit. They have encouraged us they've given us free use of StreamYard for the broadcasts that we do. And it's a very easy platform to work with. It's something that is much simpler than a lot of the more popular conference call elements, and is perfect for this kind of show because from there you can broadcast directly into Facebook and YouTube and other destinations. Talking more about what we have been doing over and above the museum. We've just recently launched what we call the Force for Good. You're going to see at the bottom of the page, we've got a lot of this forceforgood.org keeps going by. That's our new wave, a new something that we're trying to do through our Patreon supporters. I've always called them the Force for Good because they have helped us change the lives of kids in third world countries who can't afford their medications, or their parents are sick and they can't afford for their kids to go to school. A kind of poverty level that most people in first world countries wouldn't have an idea what to do. And so the Force for Good is meant to be something that encourages us all to be a little kinder to each other and a little more compassionate. You know, George Lucas, when we were making Star Wars, said that Star Wars was not about lightsabers and not about X-Wings. It was about compassionate people resisting selfish people. But today there seems to be a lot of selfishness in the world. So we're hoping that those of you that are watching today, I'm sure Catherine will get her connection back again soon, and will come, and she was going to ask me about all of this anyway, but
yes,
I'm hoping that maybe some of you might come and join us and become part of our online family.
Absolutely. I am back, hopefully for good this time.
Yeah.
This is what we call live TV for sure.
Sure.
Yeah, I am so glad to hear about your nonprofit, because I know that all of the things that need to get done in the community have got to get done on the ground.
Yeah.
You know, and to inspire other people to join the team is just as important as creating a team in itself.
Well, you know, there's this old saying, it says, you know, what goes around comes around.
Mm-hmm.
You know, another variation on that is that, you know, life is what you get out of life, what you put into it.
Absolutely.
Ultimately, we've done a lot over the years to try and help people that have been in other situations. I don't really want to draw lines that say, you know, oh, those people are in my gang, so I'll look after them. I think that in life, we actually are people from different parts of the world all bleed the same color, and we all ultimately worry about the same things of whether we can feed our families or, looking after our kids, et cetera, whatever it might be. And so over time, we've had a significant impact on different people. When I was making movies, I had a 16-year-old who joined me straight out of school, who is now part of the academy that decides who gets the Oscars. The guy sitting right next to him, he was 16 too. He directed the movie Blade. The girl who was our 18-year-old runner is now the president of global productions for DreamWorks Animation. There's been people who've just come into the museum and took away my little book of big ideas, what's called the Do or Do Not Outlook. I know the publisher has that on Amazon now, so you can get that directly there. They took that, they wanted to work in movies, and both of them worked on the Star Wars movie Rogue One. We've had children in third world countries. The one that comes most to mind is a little girl called Haralis Rodriguez. She was in the Dominican Republic. She has epilepsy. Her mother had tuberculosis. There was no money for school. There was no money for medications. And Gloria and I paid for her education. We paid for her medications. And last year, she graduated as a medical doctor. So, you can spend your life saying, oh, but I'd have more money if I hadn't done those things for other people. But those people would go to the ends of the earth to help me when I need it.
Absolutely. And you can't take it with you.
No, exactly. And ultimately, if you give out a lot of negativity and a lot of selfishness, ultimately, that's what you get back.
Mm-hmm.
I was sick. I was very sick 2 years ago. Came very close to popping my plugs. I can't tell you how many people, rallied around to help me at that time when I was at my weakest. So it happens.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in uplifting people because ultimately they'll uplift you as well as time goes by.
That's definitely a premise of the station that we're here at, because we got together so that as artists and crafters and people who are creative, we could support each other, lift each other up, and bless each other with the presence that we have. And I'm definitely blessed and fortunate to have such a patient guest as you. And thanks for taking over for a little bit while I was sort of indisposed. I don't know what in the heck that was, but
it happens when you're dealing with stuff like this. It's all down to your bandwidth.
Yeah, machinery. Oh my goodness. But having said that, if you could say anything to people just starting out, and I know that you've said a lot in your books and your characters say a lot about what you really want people to know, but I think these things are worth repeating. I really do, because you can never hear that you're worthy often enough, especially when you're a kid.
Well, I think I would come back to that sense of self-doubt. I think one of the greatest unfortunate things in life that every single person goes through is that you reach a point in your teens where people push you to try and decide what you're going to do with the rest of your life at a point when you have absolutely zero experience to base any opinion on. And if you say, oh, I want to be an astronaut, the first thing they say is, yeah, well, you've got to be sensible, right? People are talked down. People are very rarely talked up. Negativity is infectious. And the people around you that you're asking, what should I do? are going to be normal people, and they're
Right.
going to give you advice on how to be normal. You know, the parent who says, "Oh yes, but you've got to be sensible because you've got to go to work and you've got to do this." When a kid comes along and says, "I want to be an Olympian," and they say, "Oh well, you want to be an Olympic swimmer? That's going to be hard, but you could be a lifeguard." What you've done is you've just put that kid down.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You have discouraged her from pursuing that thing. You need to uplift people, and you need to have courage in yourself to know that every person that you admire was in your situation at one point or another in your life, where they thought that life wasn't going to be what they wanted, where they thought, I'm poor and I'm never going to be able to get out of something, or I don't know what the answer of something is. You can be the opposite. There's always those ones that think they know everything and then prove that they don't. But you know, ultimately, you need to be absorbent. You need to witness things. You need to see things, which often girls are much better at than boys when they're in their teens. Girls tend to listen more than boys. Boys are in their own little blinkered world thinking about what's going on in their head, whereas girls often will be reading and taking in what you're telling them. When I'm talking to a crowd of kids, often it's girls who are eye to eye with me.
Oh, yeah.
There's a few boys, but often the boys are looking around and thinking what they're thinking about what's plastered on the wall or some tool that's on your table. But so
I was definitely
would say not only you need to be absorbent, you need to be observant. You need to keep going until you succeed. Ultimately, the bottom line thing is, just because you try for something and it doesn't work out the first time or the second time or the third time, doesn't mean you've failed. You failed when you give up. You failed when you say, I can't do that. The truth is that you can achieve anything if you stick at it until you make it happen. You don't have to be the best in the class. You have to be the one that keeps going when the best in the class gives up.
Absolutely. Thank you. That's perfect. That is absolutely perfect. And I was one of those little girls once, and I can tell you every single word you're saying is absolutely the truth, my friend. I appreciate you, and I do hope you will come back again and see us and talk with us some more, because I have a feeling there's a little bit more in this conversation for sure. If the thing that worries me about these days and creativity and all the things that go with it is the fact that we can change things in ways that we couldn't do 20 years ago. AI can change things in ways that we haven't done 20 years ago. I mean, what do you see the future of creativity being?
That's the big question at the moment. I mean, honestly, the truth of the matter is that human beings are lazy. And so largely, if a tool is there, they say, oh, well, why should I write my book? Why should I actually write the book? I could just tell the book, I could tell AI, this is what happens, and these are the characters. And I could write down 6 pages, and the AI will write me a 400-page book. The thing about AI today, because AI in 5 years is going to be something else entirely. The thing about AI today is that you ask it a question, or you ask it to write something, or you ask it to make something. And what it does is it reaches out across the internet. in a masterful way in a very short period of time. It gathers together what would have taken you 20 years to gather together. It averages it out for whatever that subject is. It repackages it and it gives it back to you in a minute or so. Well, that might seem really great, but what you're getting is always going to be an average product. It's never going to be innovative because
Right.
it's gathering stuff that's already out there
From
It's
other places.
saying,
Yeah.
you know, animatronics, for example, which, you know, I was one of the pioneers for, came out of nowhere. Well, I guess it came out of some of the mechanical clockwork things that they made in the 1700s. But for movies, it hadn't been done before, certainly not the way that we did it. It was innovation. Every new invention is innovation. At the moment, the way we have access to AI, and maybe the people who own the AI have a different kind of access, but that access is limited to producing average responses. And when you decide, oh, I'm not going to write my university paper, I'll get AI to do it for you. Believe me, they're going to, in a very short space of time, if they already, they'll have a program that recognizes that it was written by AI and you'll fail.
What you're missing out on.
Right. When you take these easier routes, what you're really doing is limiting your own ability to do it yourself. You know, it may be more laborious, but what you're doing has the opportunity to be much more original and has the opportunity to develop you as a human being. You don't develop yourself as a human being by getting AI to do the job for you.
Nope. You do the experience and you do the thing that you need to do yourself. And you gain so much from being the person that's bigger than the one you started out with.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And life, honestly, if I got one thing that I would say from my 76 years of trying to be something more than I've started out as, basically, it's about growth. In my time, I have done so many different things. You know, we didn't talk about it, but I write music with a band in Idaho. I write books. I'm an artist. I've painted 450 paintings that I've
captured. This is why you're coming back, for sure.
Right. Yeah. Cool. But ultimately, every time you learn something, it's a building block that you step on to then go for the next thing to learn. And in life, if it's a sense of continuous evolution, is much more interesting than just spending your life doing what everybody else is doing, day after day, month after month, year after year.
We need to do the things that scare us and do the things that are beyond the ordinary every single day.
Richard Branson said, if your ambitions don't scare you, they're not big enough.
That sounds just like him.
Yeah.
That is just amazing. I am so glad and so happy that you're here. And I will definitely not pop out on you next time. I feel like Mary Poppins or something, and with her umbrella getting pulled off on, you know, on a little windy side trip every once in a while. But we do have a minute for you to say goodbye, and the best way that you can think of to get in touch with you. We'd love to have you again for sure.
Well, I would say, first of all, we've got so many different websites and ways to get to me. You see my name, Nick Maley? Put it into Google, you'll find me. If you put that Yoda Guy into Google, you'll find me. If you go to the Force for Good, you will find me. If you go to fangssaga.com, you will find me. I'm there. I'm part of the woodwork. I'm the red tree in the forest, and that's the secret to getting the opportunities that take you places that other people don't get to go.
Well, we will follow you.